Judith Mavis Durham AO is an Australian singer and musician who became the lead vocalist for the Australian popular folk music group The Seekers in 1963. The group subsequently became the first Australian pop music group to achieve major chart and sales success in the United Kingdom and the United States, and as of 2004 had sold over 50 million records. Durham left the group in mid-1968 to pursue her solo career. In 1993, Durham began to make sporadic recordings and performances with The Seekers, though she remains primarily a solo performer. On July 1, 2015, she was named Victorian of the Year for her services to music and a range of charities. Early life: Durham was born in Essendon, Victoria, to William Alexander Cock DFC, a navigator and World War II pathfinder, and his wife, Hazel. From her birth until 1949, Durham spent summer holidays at her family's weatherboard house on the west side of Durham Place in Rosebud, which has been demolished. A myth has circulated that Mornington Ride was prompted by these holidays and the nearby town of Mornington. However, Durham has stated that the song was written by American songwriter Malvina Reynolds and that the lyrics refer to sweet dreams rather than the Mornington Peninsula. Durham lived in Hobart, Tasmania, where she attended the Fahan School before moving back to Melbourne in 1956. In Melbourne, she was educated at Rutan Girls' School and, following matriculation, enrolled at RMIT. Durham at first planned to be a pianist and gained the qualification of Associate in Music, Australia, in classical piano at the University of Melbourne Conservatorium. She had some professional engagements playing piano and also had classical vocal training and performed blues, gospel and jazz pieces. Her singing career began one night at the age of 18 when she asked Nicholas Rebush, leader of the Melbourne University Jazz Band, at the Memphis Jazz Club in Malvern, whether she could sing with the band. In 1963 she began performing at the same club with Frank Trainor's Jazz Preachers, using her mother's maiden name of Durham. In that year she also recorded her first EP, Judy Durham with Frank Trainor's Jazz Preachers, for W&G Records. Durham was working as a secretary at the J. Walter Thompson advertising agency where she met account executive Athol Guy. Guy was in a folk group called The Seekers which sang on Monday nights at the Treble Clef, a coffee lounge on Chorek Road in Melbourne. The Seekers consisted of Durham, Athol Guy, Bruce Woodley and Keith Potger, the last being an ABC radio producer. It was through Potger's position that the three were able to make a demo tape in their spare time. This was given to W&G Records, which wanted another sample of Durham's voice before agreeing to record a Jazz Preachers album. W&G instead signed The Seekers for an album, introducing The Seekers, in 1963. Durham, however, recorded two other songs with the Jazz Preachers, Muddy Water, and Trombone Frankie. In early 1964 The Seekers sailed to the United Kingdom on the SS Fesky on which the group provided the musical entertainment. Originally they had planned to return after 10 weeks, but they received a steady stream of bookings through the Grade Agency because they had sent the agency a copy of their first album. In November 1964 The Seekers released I'll Never Find Another You composed by Tom Springfield. In February 1965 the record reached number 1 in the UK and Australia, while their 1966 recording of Springfield and Jim Dale's Georgie Girl reached number 2 and number 1 in the United States. Solo career: Durham returned to Australia in August 1968 and her first solo television special screened on the 9 network in September. During her solo career she has released albums titled For Christmas with Love, Gift of Song and Climb a Rhyme Mountain. In 1970 she made the television special Meet Judith Durham in London, ending with her rendition of When You Come to the End of a Perfect Day by Carrie Jacobs Bond. In the 1970s she returned to traditional jazz and recorded volumes 1 and 2 of The Hottest Band in Town and The Hot Jazz Duo. She then moved to Queensland and focused on her songwriting. In 1994, Durham began recording albums again, including Mona Lisa's in 1996 under the direction of producer Gus Dudgeon. This was re-released as Always There in 1997 with the addition of Durham's solo recording of fellow Seeker Bruce Woodley's I Am Australian, and the Smith family theme song of the title. Her recording of Always There was first released on the 1997 double CD Anthems, which also featured Bruce Woodley's Common Ground, and the Seekers' Advance Australia Fair arrangement. In 2000, Durham's album Let Me Find Love, a top 10 hit on the Australian album charts, was re-released as Hold On To Your Dream, with the addition of Australia Land of Today. In 2001, she did another Australian tour, and in 2003 she toured the UK to celebrate her 60th birthday. Her birthday concert at the Royal Festival Hall in London was filmed and released on DVD in late 2004. In 2006, the Seekers were awarded the Key to the City of Melbourne by Lord Mayor John Sow. As part of the ceremony, Durham sang part of her song Seldom Melbourne Leaves My Mind, and was later invited by the Lord Mayor's Charitable Fund to record the song, as a fundraiser, with Orchestra Victoria. The decision was then made to record Durham's entire Australian Cities suite, with all proceeds from the sale of the CD to go to the charitable sector. The album was released in October 2008. The project was to benefit charities such as the Motor Neuron Disease Association of Australia and Orchestra Victoria, in addition to other charities which benefit from the Lord Mayor's Charitable Fund or its national affiliated network United Way. By 2009, Durham's rendition of A Perfect Day by Carrie Jacobs Bond achieved more hits on YouTube than even the version by Paul Robeson, but was withdrawn from availability because of questions involving access to intellectual property. The Australian Cities suite features songs for all the capital cities including Sydney Girl of My Dreams, Happy Years I Spent in Hobart, Australia Land of Today. On February 13, 2009, Durham made a surprise return to the Maya Music Bowl when she performed the closing number at the Rock Quiz Salutes the Bowler Euro Sydney Maya Music Bowl 50th anniversary with The Carnival Is Over. On May 23, 2009, Durham performed a 1-hour a cappella concert in Melbourne as a launch for her album Up Close and Personal Vol. 1. Personal life. On November 21, 1969, she married her musical director, British pianist Ron Edgeworth, in Melbourne. They lived in the UK and Switzerland until the mid-1980s when they bought property in Nambour, Queensland. In 1990, Durham, Edgeworth and their tour manager, Peter Summers, were involved in a car accident on the Calder Freeway. The driver of the other car died at the scene and Durham sustained a fractured wrist and leg. The response from her fans made Durham consider getting back together with the other members of the Seekers for a Silver Jubilee show. This reunion, however, was cut short when Edgeworth was diagnosed with motor neuron disease. He died on December 10, 1994, with Durham by his side. In the late 1990s, Durham was stalked by her former personal assistant, a woman who sent her dozens of doormats through the post. The woman was subsequently prosecuted. In May 2013, Durham suffered a brain hemorrhage which diminished her ability to read and write not only visual language but also musical scores. During her convalescence, she made progress to rebuild those skills. Her singing ability was never affected. Solo releases: 1963 Judy Durham and Frank Trainor's Jazz Preachers, 1964 Frank Trainor's Jazz Preachers and Judy Durham a Euro Trombone Frankie, 1967 The Olive Tree / The Non-Performing Lion Quick Step a Euro UK number 33, 1967 Again and Again / Memories, 1968 For Christmas with Love, 1970 Gift of Song, 1971 Climb Every Mountain, 1973 J.D. and the Hottest Band in Town Volume 1, 1974 J.D. and the Hottest Band in Town Volume 2, 1980 The Hot Jazz Duo, 1992 Australia Land of Today, 1994 Let Me Find Love a Euro a US number 8, 1996 Mona Lisa's a Euro UK number 46, 1997 Always There, 2000 Hold On To Your Dream, 2002 J.D. and the Melbourne Welsh Male Choir, 2003 Diamond Night, 2009 Judith Durham Up Close and Personal a Euro Volume 1, 2009 Judith Durham's Advance Australia Fair. A lyric for Contemporary Australia, 2011 Epiphany, 2011 Colours of My Life a Euro a US number 44, 2012 The Australian Cities Suite a Euro a US number 81, 2013 The Platinum Album a Euro a US number 36, 2013 It's Christmas Time, 2015 Climb Every Mountain a Euro a US number 44, With the exception of the 1963 jazz EP, all of Durham's solo recordings have been re-released on CD as of April 2015. Durham has also contributed to various compilations, including the CD single I Heal Lull, Slowly Gently for the Motor Neuron Disease fundraiser One Man's Journey, and an ethnic version of The Carnival Is Over with Melbourne group Incamarca for the Melbourne Immigration Museum's compilation CD This Is the Place for a Song. In 2007 Durham also made a cameo appearance on English Garden, a bonus track featured only on the digital download version of the 2007 Silverchair album Young Modern. Honours and Awards. In the 1995 Australia Day Honours, Durham was awarded the Medal of the Order of Australia. In 2001, she was awarded the Australian Government's Centenary Medal. In the 2014 Queen's Birthday Honours, Durham, along with the other members of the Seekers, was advanced as an Officer of the Order of Australia. References. Further reading: Simpson, Graham. Colours of My Life, The Judith Durham Story. Melbourne, Random House Australia, 1994, 1998, 2000. Virgin Books, 2004. ISBN 1-85227-038-1. External links: Official website, Discography, The Seekers at the Melizago website, Judith Durham at the Internet Movie Database.